All right, we are back live on Steel City. I'm your host, Andre Duke. The Steelers wrapped up their preseason game the other night. We did the live stream for that, so that is pretty much the latest and greatest. I apologize for being out Monday and Tuesday, but as some things go when you're a one man band, you can only do what you can do. But if you're watching this for the first time, or if you like this content, please hit that like and subscribe button and help us grow this thing. So that is where we're at. Some not a whole bunch of Steelers news outside of I guess yesterday. Um, Cam Hayward didn't necessarily end his hold in, but he participated in team individual drills. This all started back on August 7th. Brooke Pryor from ESPN posted an article where she wrote a little bit about that. If you want the whole scope of that, just try not to go into too much detail, but basically the quotes were, he's a leader. Just, a lot of vague platitudes about basically everybody on the team wants Cam back. He wants to be back, and that's just pretty much what it is. At this point, they're haggling over. I would say I don't think money's the issue. I think they're just haggling over whether it's um, the scope of the agreement, how many years, the terms, what's guaranteed, what's not guaranteed. I would say that has probably a lot to do with it, but I am no contract expert when it comes to NFL things, but can only go by what's reported in the news. Basically, from what my standpoint on it is, I would think that they would want to re-sign Cam. That's just my opinion, and just checking some things here to make sure everything is copacetic. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much the long and the short of it. The Cleveland Browns signed Isaiah Bond after, I guess, the charges were dropped against him. So I guess that is what it is. We'll see how that plans out if the commissioner does anything. You still have the Quinshon Judkins ordeal. I think the league office, I don't know what the league office will do, if anything. Um, that's all up to Roger Goodell, regardless of how you feel about it. Um, that's just what it is. So there is that. But in some other news, we'll get to what DK on Pittsburgh Sports reported. He reported Mason Rudolph bounces back after a interception. I thought Mason played pretty well. Obviously, no Will Howard out there, so you're not going to get to see what the whole scope of the quarterback room is. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Will Howard will probably be QB3 because he just doesn't get any snaps in the preseason. That's just my opinion. I could see where that could be. He would be the third guy on the roster. I would say Skylar Thompson probably might be the guy on the practice squad. So I think that that's just where we're at with that. I would say Rudolph will be the 2 and Rodgers is going to be the starter. I don't believe Rodgers is playing Thursday night, so probably getting some more Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson, but they said Will Howard most likely will be back for week 1, so there's no big thing there. So I mean, prototypical, and we'll see where the cards fall on the Will Howard stuff. Just in some other news, the quarterbacks in the AFC North, this is what I mean. Obviously, all these guys are going to start. Flacco's going to be the 1. Lamar's going to be 2. Um, Burrow and Rodgers. So these are the quarterbacks going into week 1. Will these be the 4 starters at the end of the year, barring everybody stays healthy and all of that stuff like that? But speaking of the quarterbacks of the AFC North, on some other headlines, I know I have the TV on, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that topic in a second, but Dan Orlowski, this was his quote on ESPN the other day. No quarterback deals with a worse hand dealt than Joe Burrow. I mean, I get it. This is a Steelers show, but it's tough. I mean, the offensive line his offensive line has not been the greatest in Cincinnati. They've failed to keep him upright, to keep him healthy. So that is some of the things that Joe Burrow's got to deal with. I mean, his battery mates down there in Cincinnati, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase they're absolute freakazoids. But at the end of the day, you got to keep the quarterback upright. And I thought it was very telling that the Bengals took Shamar Stewart in the first round instead of taking an offensive lineman. I get what they're trying to do. They were ranked near the bottom of the league I believe in almost every defensive category. They couldn't stop a bloody nose. So I get why they need help there. That's just kind of where that is at as far as the Cincinnati front. But we'll turn the attention to the MVP odds. The one crazy thing about this MVP race, if this goes to show you anything, it's all quarterbacks. And this was posted by FanDuel Sports. That's who posted this: Lamar, Josh Allen, Burrow, Jaden Daniels, and I would say Goff has an outside shot at it. But, last year they got as far as they did, and it just kind of fell apart on the Lions. Jalen Hurts, adding an MVP to his resume would surely help his Canton stock. Mahomes, Burrow. I would think if anybody wins it on this list, I could see Burrow winning the MVP if Cincinnati wins 10-plus games. That's just where I'm at on it. But I would say Lamar's the betting favorite. Baltimore had a pretty good year last year and just couldn't really get it done. But a lot of people I've seen want to kind of bet Jordan Love. I mean, you can. That's just what it is. I'm not giving MVP futures betting advice by any means, but that's just that. But if you're watching the show for the first time, if you could hit that like and subscribe button. We got a goal on the show, or both shows. We're going to be doing the college football show tonight, but we got a goal on both shows to where we want to get to at least 25 likes per episode. That's just kind of where we're at. And then some of the rookie quarterback stuff I thought was interesting. Dylan Gabriel with this comment: there's entertainers and then there's competitors. My job is to compete. I mean, obviously, Gabriel's going to say that, giving all the hoopla that's going on about Shedeur. And I'm not shocked that he would say that. I don't think he's directly throwing shade, but kind of indirectly. I think out of most teams in the NFL. The Browns have the most likability for being volatile. That quarterback room is going to be interesting. Kevin Stefanski, I would say that he's under a lot of pressure to make this work. That's just something that I kind of wholeheartedly believe. Just that in outside of Cleveland kind of having a mess in the quarterback room. We'll go to what's dominating ESPN right now. The Colts have announced Daniel Jones as their starting quarterback. I don't know where this falls at the feet. The Colts trying to put something together. The Anthony Richardson experience has not worked out, stemming back from when he took himself out of the game against the Texans, and then Daniel Jones signing the 1-year deal in Indianapolis, trying to rebuild his career. I think that where Indianapolis sits right now, they've got to figure something out. It's not whether they want this to work. Daniel Jones has got the tight end that they drafted, Tyler Warren out of Penn State. I feel like that's going to be probably his best friend in Indy. Daniel Jones also has won a playoff game. A lot of people are down on Daniel Jones, but there's a 1-game difference between him and Trevor Lawrence. Daniel Jones got a big deal in New York, and it obviously didn't work, but I almost feel like on the reasons why it didn't work in New York was the whole Joe Shane debacle, the Saquon Barkley stuff. Saquon wanted to come back to New York, and they just, for whatever reason, Joe Shane thought that I don't pay my quarterback X amount of dollars to hand the ball off. Well, Saquon goes to Philadelphia and wins a Lombardi. So I'm kind of hoping the Giants hang on to Brian Daboll. I kind of am on the Daboll train. I feel like Brian Daboll will be able to win some games there as long as he gets some front office support. I don't know if that's going to be by Joe Shane. And then if they bring in a general manager, is that general manager going to want to keep Brian Daboll? That's the big question. Also out there bouncing around, the Micah Parsons, I wouldn't say contract debacle, but I would say that Jerry's going to get this deal done. I just don't. It's Jerry Jones, and I feel when it comes down to it with Jerry, he's not going to let somebody push him around, and I think he feels like Micah's trying to push him around. Jerry already came out and said, we're not trading him. Well, then get the deal done. That's just pretty much what it comes down to. You have to get this deal done. And I think that Brian Schottenheimer I think he's in a lose-lose situation to a certain extent, especially all that stuff of them riding the pool noodles at practice. I mean, Dallas is kind of, for the better part of 20 years since they've won the Super Bowl, has turned into a bit of a joke. So that's just kind of where the Dallas Cowboys are at. Right here is a comment from Ashton Jeanty, brought to you by ESPN. So that's what Jeanty thinks. We'll see what the Raiders come up with Pete Carroll. I think they'll be much improved. I think they'll be better. Jeanty, obviously felt like he should have won the Heisman in college. The Travis Hunter phenomenon was what it was. A lot of hype out there in Colorado. So I guess we'll see where the bottom falls out out there in Las Vegas. Almost called them Oakland, but that's kind of where I'm thinking that they're at. But sticking in the AFC West, I'll be interested. One of the teams that I kind of have my eye on, especially in the AFC this year, that I think could take a major leap forward, could be the Los Angeles Chargers. Almost called them San Diego, but I didn't. I think the Chargers might take a big step forward. The big left tackle, Joe Alt, coming into year 2 out of Notre Dame. It's kind of one of those deals that I feel like Jim Harbaugh is going to have a solidified offensive line. They got Najee Harris. I think he's been a little banged up. I'm not 100% sure. I don't follow the Chargers that close to see if he's going to be ready to roll week 1. But I think that Najee should have a productive year out there in LA, with all things being said. His production wasn't the greatest in Pittsburgh. I think he only scored 6 touchdowns. So I think that the offense that Arthur Smith was trying to run and his skill set were not a good match. I thought Najee Harris would have probably had a better year if they would have played more Justin Fields. But for storyline purposes, the NFL knows what they're doing. I mean, week 1 against the Jets is just one of the funniest things in the world to me, because we already know the storylines going in there. The Jets fans hate Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be kind of an awkward deal, I think, when it comes to that game, because I feel like Justin probably felt like he should have played over Russ last year. I mean, down the stretch after that Ravens game, Russ kind of fell off the face of the earth. He just wasn't very good. If you go pull his numbers, they weren't the greatest in that last 6-game stretch going into the playoffs. And I knew going into that playoff game that they were going to get kind of boat race. So that's just where I'm at on that. I think on the Tomlin side of things that Coach T needs to win a playoff game to quiet a lot of the issues down surrounding him. Half the fan base is in, half the fan base is out. So, I mean, it's a pretty big split. I think it's probably 55-45 on the Tomlin side of things. So we'll see where that bottoms out. I just think, for everybody's sake, I mean, the Steelers have had only 3 coaches since 1969, but also one of the things that I think that kind of is interesting with the Steelers, they haven't won in Philadelphia since 1965, and that's pre-Chuck Noll. So that is something to keep an eyeball out on. Even though they have not, even though a game at Philly isn't on the schedule, but I would think that they would want to get the Keystone matchup on the schedule every year, just kind of my opinion. But what do I know? This was a quote from Chris Jones that he said, I don't know why everybody be waiting on our downfall. We became the new age Patriots. Does he have a point there? Kind of. Minus Spygate and minus a whole bunch of scandal with Andy Reid. I think that it's very interesting that he would say that. I mean, considering they lost last year, if the Chiefs go out and win the Super Bowl this year, I could see where, that would make sense on why you could call yourself a dynasty. Winning championships is so hard, and I almost feel like at a certain extent it's not as random as the NBA, but we've now seen the Chiefs Niners, Chiefs Buccaneers. The Chiefs have been to the Super Bowl, ever since 2020, 2019-ish. the Chiefs have been the premier of the NFL. So I'm not shocked by that he would come out with a comment like that. And I'm not really necessarily disagreeing. You have the Travis Kelsey angle on it. So that's just where that's at. You have the Taylor Swift on it too. Just something there. The TV or the camera loves to politicize that, but coming into it here, this was Jackson Dart's performance. 3 touchdowns, 26 to 35, 291 passing. I'm almost to the point to where if he's looking this good and playing this good in the preseason, you might as well, if he's going to be your guy of the future, you might as well just go ahead and play him if he's your best option. Because eventually they're going to go to Dart when they're out of the perennial playoff race. So I think there's just something there. They might as well just pull the Band-Aid off now, in my opinion. But that's just me. I think that the Giants, they're in a tough division because now Washington is good. The Eagles are the Eagles. That is pretty much where that is at. I don't know where you can justify playing Jackson Dart this early. I think that once you get to that point, I think you've got to pull the trigger on it because I feel like Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll, their jobs are on the line. I think 7-8 wins keeps them safe, but if they go anything, like if they go win 4 or 5 games, I think it's lights out, and then they bring in new coach, new general manager, and then Jackson Dart's fate's kind of up in limbo, to be honest. So I think that at a certain point, either Mara's going to stick with the battery mates he's got, Daboll and Schoen, to finish this job, to see it through, or they're going to or they're just going to punt the whole package and start over, which I don't know why you would do that, but you're too far into it. I mean, the Daniel Jones experience didn't work out. I'm kind of on giving Daboll more time, bring a GM in that Daboll's familiar with and he knows and what he's looking for in the draft. Here's obviously Jackson Dart's rookie stuff. Cam Ward's going to be the guy. I think one of the stars that is going to be unsung out of this whole deal is going to be TreVeyon Henderson. He's a dark horse for me to win Rookie of the Year, the Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think that TreVeyon Henderson, absolute stud at Ohio State. I think Trey can do some good things. He got drafted at the very end of I think he was a first-round pick maybe. But I think Trey's going to be able to – I think he's going to be able to take a lot of pressure off of Drake May, with Drake May fully getting the reins now. They transitioned away from Gerard Mayo. I kind of almost think that Gerard Mayo got a raw deal up there in New England. I don't know why Kraft didn't hire Vrabel from the beginning instead of letting Vrabel go be an analyst in Chicago and then coming up there. That's just my opinion. But I think TreVeyon Henderson is going to be kind of a big part of the offense up there in New England. They got Josh McDaniels back. Dillon Gabriel had a pretty solid performance. We'll have to see where that nets out at. And then Colston Loveland in Chicago had a pretty decent showing as well there. I think that Loveland is one of the bigger rookies to make an impact here, in my opinion. He's going to be on that side of he's going to be on the side of probably Caleb Williams' best friend on the offensive side of the ball. So we'll see where that shakes out. But I just look at that and think, well, Chicago's got to figure it out figuratively. Um, they bring in Ben Johnson to work with Caleb Williams. The big question in Chicago is going to be: is Caleb Williams going to uh, be the first 4,000 yard passer in Bears history? Um, so that's something to be said there. I don't know what Ben Johnson's, full on plan is. They scored a bunch of points in a preseason game and it's got people excited, but whenever that week 1 rolls around, it's going to be the real telling sign on how that whole thing's going to shake out. Just in my opinion, I'm going to keep a close eye on the Bears. Previously on the college football show, we talked a little Bears. A lot of people that were Bears fans wanted to give us it's only year 1, it's a wait and see. I'm just not optimistic on it. That's just me though. So there's that. Like I said, the Steelers play Thursday night. We're not going to be streaming that, but we will be streaming on the college football show. Be doing a bunch of college football. If you just are an NFL fan, come on over, join the chat on Saturday. We're going to have a full day of content coming at you. And the last thing I was kind of curious about, Matthew Stafford returned to practice, and everybody thought that was a big deal with the whole back thing. I think the Rams have just as good a chance to win the NFC as anybody. I think that they're one of the top teams that could push the Eagles. That's just my opinion. So there is that. And then the Arch Manning thing, I'm already sick and tired of this. Because his grandpa said Arch isn't going to do that. He'll be at Texas. And then Arch, the grandpa, came out and said that I sent him an apology for saying that. ESPN is running the March for Arch, and it's looking like the Saints are going to be the number 1 overall pick, most likely. I think they're probably going to be the worst team in the NFL this year. And maybe they won't be, but I don't know if Arch is going to make the decision to come out. I mean, you're not really setting yourself up for a good. I mean, only 1 year of starting in college. If I'm Arch Manning, I stay at Texas. I know it's not a money thing, but there's probably some people that declared for the draft that went to the draft and got drafted and probably, man, I probably should have stayed in college another year because I would be probably the number 1 pick. But I digress on that. I think some kids get bad advice on the draft. That's just my opinion. But the March for Arch, it's very interesting. I'll pull up ESPN.com's got the mock draft. It's got Cleveland, Arch Manning, and then it's got Lenora Sellers coming out, and it's got the Saints trying to join the QB run. Cade Klubnik, Peter Woods, Caleb Downs. Yeah, he's going to get drafted high. He's probably a top 5 pick. He's probably the second best player in college football. TJ Parker out of Clemson. Notable Drew Aller to Indy. The Browns got 2 first-round picks because Jacksonville's not very intelligent. And then it's got the Steelers drafting another quarterback. I just don't see that happening. They all thought the Steelers were going to draft a DB this year, and they picked Derek Harmon. So put that into it what you want. But also, you got to think they have not played a down of college football, and however so slightly that will change. It's got Sonny Styles out of Ohio State as a first-round pick. I don't disagree with that. Um, so we'll see. We'll see where that pans out. But if this is your first time checking out this content here on Steel City, the Andre Duke Show channel, if you're also a college football fan, we'll have a ton of content this Saturday. If you could hit that like and subscribe button, help us grow this channel, that would be great. It's better than money. That helps us tremendously kick up in the algorithm. So there is that. And then outside of hitting the like and subscribe button, we got to wait a little bit longer. I'll probably watch the preseason game and give you my thoughts on that. Probably the morning later either that evening, probably Friday evening is when we'll do Steel City again. I don't know if it'll be morning or night. I got to work around my schedule, but I'd kind of like some feedback if you guys want this show in the morning or in the evening, because I've had it in the evening and had it in the morning, and kind of the turnout's about the same. If anybody wants to object to that, just let me know. And then the college football show obviously is at 7:30. So appreciate everybody who tuned in today to watch this. If you're watching on Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, come on over to the YouTube channel and hit the like and subscribe button. But outside of that, everybody have a great Wednesday. I'll see you back later tonight.